Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Design Theater, where we look at badass concept artist illustrators in games, movies, comics. Eventually, I'm going to be getting into the actual concept art for games like Resident Evil or even art like traditional art, like older art. But for now, I want to focus on modern artists that I look at right now that really inspire me. And today, this guy, his name is Karl Kopinski, and this guy, his stuff is it's super, it's kind of brutal. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of the stuff he paints is mostly like war scenes and things like that. It's very masculine driven, but he never goes too far into like a not safe for work territory. Don't worry, I'm not going to share anything like that on these videos. But this guy, he is pretty brutal with some of the stuff it is that he draws. But what I like about it is that it kind of rides that edge of being brutal, but also being fun. Like his stuff is just really fun to look at. It has this kind of a comic book sensibility to it, and so you'll see what I'm saying as we get into these illustrations. Right now, it looks like what we're looking at is, I'm guessing this is a Warhammer or it might be a Warcraft piece. I'm not 100% sure what it is that he did this for, um, but I really like how it is that he has this kind of asymmetrical motion going on here with these two figures posing against one another. Um, they're both kind of in this fluid forward motion as if they are about to collide. That's something that illustrators tend to think about before they are planning their illustration, is they want to actually stage the moment of the illustration to be either before something happens or right after something happens. Those are the moments of the most drama. Um, it wouldn't serve as well of an illustration if it was the two of them colliding, but it would serve better as an illustration if it's before they collide, moments before they collide, or right after. Like say the guy on the right has completely clobbered the other guy and he's standing over him, um, punting on his head or something like that, right? And other design decisions I see right away is that we see that the characters in the foreground here, they all have a greater value range to them than the background characters. If we look at the background characters, we can see that these guys are dropped down to a lower saturation level, right? You can see that they kind of, he may have even put a layer in between this foreground and this midground and dimmed it down in order to get that. But we get this kind of atmospheric effect. And we can do that actually, like I said, with a layer that goes in between these different layers of depth, right? So let's go ahead and let's move on to the next one here. Yeah, so he's done a lot of like Warhammer stuff, and some of the Warhammer stuff you'll see as we go further into this. Some of the Warhammer stuff is just brutal. Yeah, especially stuff like this. Like, I never really looked into Warhammer, so I don't really know what the mythos is. I love the art. So if somebody wants to make a comment about the mythos of these characters, feel free. Got a quasi-historical piece here. As we'll see as we'll go through, he actually, I believe he used to be a historical painter, and so he would do like, um, shots from like the Civil War and that sort of thing. Yeah, this is the brutal stuff that I'm talking about. Like this is totally brutal, right? I mean, you have like this Hellraiser looking guy with hands stitched to his armor and skulls with these like scribes. I'm guessing these are some sort of a curse or something. Um, I mean, it just looks absolutely insane, absolutely brutal. I love the way it is that there's like this mechanical hand that's underneath these things. Yeah. And then you have another face here. I mean, this really reminds me of Hellraiser, right? I mean, it's just so freaking brutal. And then you have something like this. This is kind of what I'm talking about. Like Karl Kopinski and a lot of the artists that I plan on sharing in these videos are really very versatile artists. I like the artists that can kind of do anything. That's the kind of artist that I think is fun to look at and fun to watch, and that's the one it is that I want to be. You know, I like to have a range of different things it is that I do. Like I have my comic book, but then I also do like character designs and little concept work for people's games, and you can always tell when somebody loves what they do because they experiment with it because they do it so much, you know. Like he has such a broad range of ways that he draws, ways that he paints, but not only ways that he does that, but also the subject matter, which is really more important than just the technique. You know, once you understand the technique, it really comes down to gaining a deeper level of understanding the technique by playing with it. You know, you're playing with these fundamentals and you're constantly looking at other people's work and trying to learn from them in order to improve your own. This is another really brutal piece. I don't know if the resolution is going to be good on this, but this is just, it's like this battle scene. I'm guessing this is Warhammer. Yeah, it's Warhammer hunting sisters. What is going on here? Like, this is so gnarly looking. And I love the black and white aesthetic. And again, you can see how he separates the foreground, which is up here, from the midground and the background, right? We would think that with the sky being black at night, that would be the darkest spot, but actually he illuminates it in order to give the silhouettes of these figures over here. Here, let me do a trace out. He actually flips it around, which is a smart design decision because instead of making the sky black, he illuminates the sky. And this cuts out this silhouette of this figure here, and it really captures our attention. And then it connects with all of this down in here, right? Like all this here. Because you imagine if he had just made the background completely dark, then he would have had to have had highlights onto this very strongly, and it probably wouldn't have had the same effect that it has now, which is that it just looks freaking amazing, awesome, so brutal, right? I know the resolution on this one's not too good. I think the resolutions on the other ones is better. But if you want to see this specifically, you can look up Hunting Sisters Warhammer, and it looks like it's a wallpaper you can download as well, so that's really cool. All right, let's go to the next one. Hopefully this one's resolution. Yeah, that one's resolution isn't too good. Oh man. Yeah. I mean, it's another image. Like I said, it's just got like this brutality to it. You know, he's also a very prolific sketcher. You can tell that he knew another artist, which I'm going to do a analysis on. Kim Jong-un, Kim Jong-gi, sorry. Kim Jong-gi and him were friends. Kim Jong-gi actually passed away not too long ago. And he had a huge impact on illustrators and artists in general. But you can see that the two of them knew each other in the sketchbooks for sure. They both have this, golly, they both have this strong design sense, and then they like to put a lot of characters all in the same scene, as you'll see in the later examples. But here again, we see these same design principles mentioned before of asymmetry. You know, you've got this side over here with these giant spikes, and then you've got this this arm attachment. It's going into the side of the body, and then on this side you have smaller ones. So it's literally like, I guess you could say these are more medium size. The two front ones are definitely more medium size. But all of these small elements contrast against these two big elements over here on this side, right? And so that's the elements of design that we were talking about before. Again, this is kind of like Kim Jong-gi type art. He draws a lot of guys in spacesuits, animals in spacesuits, some more Warhammer stuff. Yeah, stuff like this, like these war scenes. Yeah, these are great. You can see he's directing the eye with these lines. You know, he has a line going this way, and then he has another line going up, another line going up, and another line going up like this. And then we go back down, and then we go straight here. So that's kind of how our eye moves throughout the image. But then we also see that the arrows seem to actually lead us back in to the image. So it almost kind of loops back in on itself. So this must have been a part of a spread. I feel like there's another side of this, because typically illustrators don't point off of a page. Typically, there's usually like a focal point that they're pointing at, and even though these guys are the focal point to some extent, they are the ones that are telling the story, but clearly this must have been a part of a spread. But we see the same thing. We have these lines, they're going up, they're all going up in a very diagonal fashion, which helps make the illustration feel dynamic. Diagonal lines, especially diagonal lines that cross. So you see that over here with this sword, and then with this pitchfork, or this. No, there's not a lot of straights here. It's all angular. It's all diagonal. It's another really brutal piece. Yeah, I mean, so much of what makes an artist is their storytelling ability. And Karl Kopinski, he really has this ability to tell a strong story with his work, which is what it is that I like in my illustrations. You know, you can get really good at rendering and that sort of thing, but if you can't tell a story, then what good is it? You know. But yeah, we see here a lot of storytelling going on. Alright, let's go ahead and get through a few more of these before I let you guys go. That's tight. Yeah, another war scene. See, again, this is an example of what I'm talking about. Here's the focal point, is this collision between these two guys. And again, it's the same thing. Something is about to happen. They're about to swipe, and from the way that they're both standing, it looks like either one of them could potentially cut the other guy's head off, right? Like, they're that close, they're that dangerous to one another. And then you have these other figures that are reacting to things that are about to happen. This is about to go down, this guy's about to get hit, this guy's charging into battle, this guy's stabbing this guy, he's looking back. So he's pointing us back over here. This guy's looking off to the side, as if something's about to come his way. Right? And then you also see somebody else back here about to strike down again. Yeah, so and it looks like the red, these guys in red right here. I don't know what this is supposed to be depicting. I don't know what battle this is supposed to be depicting. But these guys in red seem to have isolated these guys in blue, because we only see 1, 2, 3. I guess you could say this is a fourth one, and then we see the dead bodies of the other guys here, and then back here we see some guys in blue, but not very many. Another just awesome sketch. It's really cool. Oh, actually, I think that is a drawing of Kim Jong-gi back there. I don't know. Yeah, I love his ink style. He does these drawings where he does both hands at the same time. You can find him on Instagram. He can draw with both hands at the same time and just does amazing stuff. Great characters. Again, we got that asymmetry with the clock over to the side. Just great, amazing, amazing sense of design. Love the characters. And then he's just got this epic fantasy type stuff. I mean, Karl Kopinski feels like, to me, he feels like a Frank Frazetta type of artist. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I'm getting close to about 20 minutes. Don't want to spend too much more of your time, but I hope you enjoyed taking a look at these. And like I've mentioned before, if there's an artist that any of this makes you think of that you want me to take a look at, just drop it in the comment box and I'll take a look at it. Whether it's comics or games or something like that, it really doesn't matter. I'm going to kind of cover everything through this series. Whatever it is that interests me, I'm going to make a video on it. And I'll aim for 10 to 20 minutes. Alright guys, please like and subscribe, share this video if you would like to, if you enjoy this content and you think somebody else might. And other than that, have a good night. Take it easy.